This is not gossip. This is not drama. This is a lesson wrapped inside a cautionary tale, wrapped inside what I can only describe as one of the most jaw-dropping stories to come out of Christian media in recent memory. Because we are talking today about Dr. Doug Weiss, marriage counselor, author of over 30 books, television personality, self-proclaimed expert on love and intimacy, and the extraordinary, almost unbelievable collapse of everything he built. And I mean everything. He lost Joni Lamb. He lost Daystar television. And now, and this is the part that sent the internet into full meltdown mode, Lisa Weiss, his ex-wife, the woman who never left, the woman who kept his business running while he was off building a new life, she said no. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first. If you don't know who Doug Weiss is, let me paint the picture for you because context is everything here. Doug Weiss is not some small-time preacher with a Facebook page. This man has 30-plus books on marriage, sexual addiction recovery, and intimacy. He runs the Heart to Heart Counseling Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado. He has appeared on major Christian television platforms, Daystar, TBN, you name it, over 20 times. He was a fixture, a trusted voice, a man who built his entire brand around one powerful message. Marriages can be saved, marriages should be saved, and the crown jewel of his credibility, his own marriage to Lisa. For over 36 years, this man stood on stages, sat across from cameras, looked the world in the eye and said, "Lisa has the purest heart I've ever met." He said she satisfied his inner being. He talked about still feeling butterflies after 30 years. He said she was God's gift to him as a lifetime partner. Those are not the words of a man tolerating a difficult situation, people. Those are the words of a man deeply, publicly, and repeatedly in love. Or so the world believed. Now, here's where I need you to stay with me, because the timing of what happened next is the real story. November 2021, Marcus Lamb dies. For those who don't know, Marcus Lamb was the founder of Daystar Television Network, one of the largest Christian broadcasting networks in the world. We are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in media influence. His wife, Joni Lamb, is now a grieving widow sitting on top of a media empire. 2 months later, in January 2022, Doug Weiss quietly files for divorce from Lisa. Let that sit with you for a second. His divorce was finalized by May to 2022. But here's the thing nobody knows. Not his staff, not his clients, not the Christian community that trusted him. He keeps counseling couples the entire time, charging them, advising them on how to save their marriages. He presented himself as a happily married man while he was divorced. And behind the scenes, he is already in conversation with Joni Lamb, a woman whose husband had been dead for barely 2 months. Now, I'm not here to put motives in anyone's heart. God knows the heart. But I am here to connect the dots that are publicly available because they connect themselves. Doug had always said he wanted a television ministry of his own. And Joni had the platform. She had the reach. She had the network. Here's a detail that I think deserves its own moment because this part genuinely grieved me when I learned it. Before Joni agreed to move forward with Doug, she actually did something responsible. She arranged for a counselor, a woman named Denise Boggs from Living Waters Ministry, to meet separately with Doug, with Lisa, and with Joni herself. She wanted an outside, qualified perspective. Denise met with all three of them. She heard every side, every claim, every detail. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. And her conclusion about Doug Weiss, wolf in sheep's clothing. Those were her exact 4 words. A trained counselor who sat across from all of them walked away with one conclusion: this man is not who he is presenting himself to be. And Joni heard that warning directly. This was not secondhand, not a rumor. The very counselor she arranged told her to her face, and Joni married him anyway. June 10, 2023. Beloved, there is a proverb about this. When wise counsel speaks clearly, and we ignore it because we want what we want, the consequences belong to us. Denise Boggs also said something else that largely went unnoticed. When asked whether abandonment, Doug's stated reason for the divorce, was ever established in her work with them, she paused and said that abandonment was not something they worked with them on at all, meaning the very foundation of Doug's justification for leaving Lisa, it may never have actually happened. Now let's talk about Lisa, because in all of this noise, Lisa Weiss has been the quietest person in the room. She has never given an interview, never posted on social media about any of this. Her silence honestly speaks volumes. But here's what people closest to the situation have said about what was actually happening on her side. While Doug was emotionally entangled with Joni, while he was already filing for divorce, Lisa was begging him to stay. Not asking, begging. There are recorded accounts of Joni actually hearing that Lisa spent an entire day pleading with Doug to come back, to choose their marriage. And you know what Joni's response to that was? She said it made her want him more because it proved what a great husband he would be. Read that again slowly. A woman's heartbreak became a selling point. But here's the detail that completely dismantles Doug's abuse and neglect narrative. After the divorce, Lisa did not disappear. She did not flee her so-called abuser. She stayed. She kept showing up to work at Heart to Heart Counseling Center, the same building, the same business, the same professional partnership with the very man who claimed she had made his life unbearable. No genuine survivor of abuse maintains daily business operations side by side with their abuser. So what does that tell us? Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates, because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. Okay, this next part, this is where it gets really interesting. And I say that as a journalist, not as someone enjoying the drama. In August 2017, 4 years before any of this happened, Doug Weiss published an article. It appeared on his website, on Charisma Magazine, and on the Heart to Heart Counseling Center Facebook page. The article warned husbands about a specific dangerous thought pattern. He described a voice that tells a man he is entitled to a happier woman, entitled to more adoration, more money, more attention. He called that voice the enemy. He said listening to it leads to destruction. He even listed 5 things he had memorized about Lisa to combat that thinking. He wrote that she would never be unfaithful, that the best intimacy of his life had only been with her, that she was the greatest mother, that she was God's inheritance for him as a lifetime partner. He wrote those words in 2017. By January 2022, he had filed for divorce. And sometime after that, the article disappeared. The links return error messages. The pages are gone. Scrubbed. But here is the thing about the internet. It does not forget as easily as people hope. Archived versions of that article still exist. And what they reveal about the timing of its removal raises a question that has never been publicly answered. Why would a man delete an article unless it directly contradicted the story he was now telling about himself? Now we arrive at where we are today. Joni Lamb passed away on May 7th, 2026. The marriage lasted less than 3 years, and with her gone, the entire landscape of Doug Weiss's life shifted dramatically. Think about what Doug had access to through that marriage. A global television platform, a multi-million-dollar network, ministry influence on a scale most Christian leaders never reach in a lifetime. Now think about what he has left. His counseling center, his books, his speaking engagements, and a seriously damaged reputation in Christian circles. The Daystar platform? That's not automatically his. Networks have boards. Boards have families. And Jonathan Lamb, Joni's son, had been vocal about his concerns regarding Doug's intentions from the very beginning. That door appears to be closing if it isn't already shut. So Doug is left standing essentially where he stood before Marcus Lamb died, except now he's older, his credibility is in question, and the woman who kept his business alive through everything? Well, apparently Lisa said no. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates, because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. According to reports, Doug has attempted to reconcile, and Lisa, the woman who showed up every single day, who kept his name on the door, who ran operations for 3 years while he was building a new life on television, Lisa declined. Now here's the part of this story I need to pause on, because it's the part that the original reporting dances around, but never quite says directly. Doug Weiss was not new to this. Lisa's not his first wife. His first wife passed away, and Doug moved on and found Lisa. He built a life with her, praised her from every stage for 36 years, called her the purest heart he'd ever met. And then, when a more convenient situation presented itself, he constructed a justification and moved on again. This is not a man who made one terrible mistake in a moment of weakness. This is a pattern. And a pattern tells you something about character that a single incident cannot. The Bible says that a man's gift will make room for him, but it also says you shall know them by their fruit. Doug Weiss built a career on telling other people how to protect their marriages while failing to protect his own. He warned others about the voice of entitlement while apparently listening to it himself. And the really hard truth? He deleted the very article where he described exactly what he then went and did. That's not a mistake. That's awareness. That's knowing the contradiction existed and choosing to erase the evidence rather than reckon with it. So where does that leave us? Let me be clear about something. I am not here to condemn Doug Weiss. Judgment belongs to God. People can repent. People can change. And we should always leave room for that. But there are real lessons in this story that we cannot skip past just to be gracious. Lesson 1. Platform is not proof of character. A man can write 30 books about love and still not live it. Lesson 2. When qualified counsel gives you a clear warning, especially one you sought out yourself, listen. Joni Lamb had a trained counselor look her in the eye and say, "Wolf in sheep's clothing." She married him anyway, and the consequences followed. Lesson 3. Lisa Weiss may be the most interesting and overlooked person in this entire story. She stayed. She worked. She kept showing up. And when the moment came when the man who left her came back, she said no. That, to me, is a woman who has finally decided that her peace is worth more than proximity to someone who proved twice that she was not his priority. And honestly, good for her. Please do well to subscribe to this channel for more updates because there is a lot to talk about on Daystar TV. Internet is still watching this story unfold. There are legal questions about ownership of Heart to Heart Counseling Center. Lisa reportedly holds a legal stake in the business, which means regardless of what either of them wants, they remain bound in some capacity. But as for reconciliation, as for going back, it sounds like Lisa has made her answer clear. And sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is simply say, "Not this time." That's it for today, beloved. If this episode made you think, made you search your own heart, made you a little more careful about who you give your trust to, then we did our job. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. Drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, stay rooted, stay discerning, and remember, a tree is known by its fruit, not its title. Until next time, God bless you.